So welcome to webinar 2, Fraser Coast Tourism members. Lovely to have you on board again. And this webinar is titled, it's part 1 of how to attract, engage, convert and delight more customers. So this is a strategy session more than anything else, but this is really important because it leads us through then to really good tactics that are meaningful to our customers, which means that we will get to prioritise in the right way and use our time much more efficiently when it comes to digital marketing. So what we're going to cover today is I'll do a really quick recap of webinar 1 because that's really had set the scene for this session. I would like to share with you the way that we define target markets and also about the process of developing a channel strategy, and that's all about being able to put your time and effort where your target customers really are online. And I think this is really important in terms of where we are in the digital marketing age now, particularly in our regional tourism industry, because we get around, we talk to a lot of tourism operators and workshops and things, and they say that, and I'm sure many of you feel this as well, that you're doing lots of work online, you're working social media, creating content, looking after your website, but how do you know that you're really kind of hitting the mark and getting bang for your buck in terms of the effort that you're doing? So we think this strategy, you know, there's been a lot of people, and us included, giving advice on how to use different social media platforms, how to work Google search well, all of those sorts of things. This is lifting it up to a strategy level, which will all contribute towards your plan. Okay, recapping on the session that Fabi ran last week, an important concept that was introduced was the travel purchase cycle. So the 5 stages of travel and how people make their selections, how they are, first of all, inspired in the dream phase, how they move to the research phase for planning, how they book their holidays, if they actually take that holiday and destination, and then become an advocate for your business. Now, whether you are selling fridges, couches, or holidays, this is the kind of behavioural steps that people take when they're going through that buying process. So understanding that, and understanding that travellers move back and forth through this process as they're planning different components of their holiday, as they are in destination and then searching on their phones and making decisions and purchasing. It's not just a linear, you know, end-to-end process. It's a cycle and they move back and forth through it. So while the consumer is doing that, what do we need to be doing as businesses to be able to connect with them? In the dream and planning stage, what you are trying to do as a business is to attract them to your business and get them to engage with you. And engagement is a two-way thing. That could be that they like something you've posted on social media, and that's important in that dream phase, and that's where social media really plays such an important role. Or that they find your business through a great blog post that you've written when they've been searching for a particular type of holiday around a certain experience, whether they're avid fishers or campers or just looking for a family beach holiday, and you've been able to have some content up there that has attracted them to your business. Convert stage, that might be where they actually come and do that booking with you, which is obviously what we want them to do. We want to keep them on this cycle with us so that they buy from us. But a conversion in the digital world can also be other things. It can be sharing content that you've put up onto social media or they've found in Google. It could be signing up for your email newsletter. Delighting them, that's where you want to go that tiny extra mile so that they have such a good experience when they are your guest that they want to become a really loyal advocate for you. And that's when you really get the power of leverage of that huge marketing team doing that work for you. And I think that whole concept of surprise and delight is what sets so many businesses apart. And even if you feel like you're in a very competitive space, like, for example, you run a motel and you think, well, there's lots of motels. We appeal to lots of different people who stay in motels. You know, we're not really an experience-based product. I think still this is the differentiation piece. This is where you do that little tiny extra thing, whether it's that special little treat in their room, whether it's a windscreen clean before they leave, something that makes them want to brag about their time with you. So attract, engage, convert, delight for us is a great way of being able to categorize the different digital strategies that you are going to use. And as we move through this webinar series and into the workshop on the 1st of June, you'll see that this becomes a theme and helps you then to prioritise and measure the different things that you're doing. So for us, it's the simplest framework that we can offer to actually, build and measure your digital strategies. I'm just going to see I've got a question. I'm just going to check that in case it's anything that needs to be answered right away. Oh, thanks, Greg. Hi, Greg. Welcome. So when we're talking about digital marketing strategy, you can expect that each of these components that you can see in this diagram here are going to be part of your digital marketing strategy. But at the very centre of it is content and consumer or your customer relevant content. So a clear understanding of the people who are most likely to buy from you, who are your target customers, and the content that will make them be attracted to you and engage with you and convert with you. That is what's at the heart of your digital strategy. And that's what then drives your success in search, on your website, your online reputation, social media, email marketing, and of course, measuring and tracking is very important across all of these things. All of this gets wrapped up into a digital marketing strategy, and a digital action plan pops out of that. So you've got the list of actions, the things to track that then allow you to implement this. So I'm going to be introducing you today to the concept of customer personas, which is part of really understanding what channels and what type of content that your business needs to be focusing on, so that you can then really be targeted with your resources and your budget. As I said, all of this is building towards doing that strategy, and we're going to be using a strategy template in the workshop, the face-to-face workshop on the 1st of June, and facilitating you developing that and your action plan. So what would be great is, as you're taking on board some of the content out of these presentations, you're making some notes, is to keep those notes and use that as ideas and content for when we get together on the 1st. So module 1, it's all about defining your target markets. What's a target market? Target market is a specific group of consumers at which a company aims its products and services. Your target customers are those who are most likely to buy from you. So they're the people we want to target, clearly. And today's consumers are more marketing savvy than ever before. They don't want to be lumped with all the others. They want to be treated individually. And so that's why it's really important to understand your target market. We certainly do not want to see businesses marketing themselves as being great for everyone. That just doesn't cut through anymore. Because of the digital age and the incredible abundance of information and choice available to people online. It is really important that the information that you're providing is appealing to one or two at any time of your specific target market people, so that they feel like you're saying, I really understand you, I've got something you really want, I understand the experience and the type of service you're looking for, and I can answer problems for you and help you have a great holiday with us and in our destination. So it's that creating that impression of a one-to-one relationship when you're really drilling down and providing content and getting it onto the right channels for these people who are really representative of your target markets. As I said, it all underpins having relevant marketing strategies in today's world, this acute understanding of your target markets. So you can take that, translate that into some tools. You probably, I expect, have already a great innate understanding of your target markets. You would be tracking data about people who book with you, where they come from. You're probably engaged in conversations and asking them questions about how they found you, what social media channels they use, etc. or you're just getting a sense of that because you're engaging with them on social media. However, let's just lift it up a bit. If you've ever done a submission for a tourism award, then you would have had to have defined your target market at this kind of level. So you would have had to have named what group they are, whether it's the local family drive market or a broader family drive market, however you defined that. It could be older couples, grey nomads, however you defined that major group. And then you may have had a small amount of the international market potentially out of maybe New Zealand. And then you would have put a percentage against that in terms of your current business. Or in this case, we're talking about the target market. What percentage of business would you like it to be? So that's kind of your high level in terms of your target market. But what that doesn't tell us, that tells us about their geography and a little bit about their life stage in terms of families or older couples, etc. But it doesn't tell us anything about their attitudes or behaviours, or what sort of content they might need. And that's why now we've moved to the concept of developing personas in marketing. And some of you may have been exposed to this before. And if you hire a digital agency or a web strategist, then certainly they will want to go through this process before ever getting down to the thought of designing you a new website. They will want to really get a great understanding of the persona that represents your target markets. It's also really fantastic for anybody else who's working with you. I know you may be an owner operator and doing all of this yourself, but if you're fortunate to have a business of size that you have another person helping you with your digital marketing, and even people who are doing your frontline customer service. If you develop personas that represent your customer groups, then what you've got is a really great little summary that clearly defines the different types of people that you're dealing with, and really helps everybody understand that, and everybody can then be in agreement in terms of clearly who your target customers are. So personas. Ultimately, what they're going to do, and the purpose of introducing them into this series, is to help you develop strategies around content and channels to be able to really target your efforts and to be successful with attracting and engaging and converting and delighting your customers. So personas takes that table that we looked at just before, this one, down to a much deeper level on a more of a behaviour and characteristic basis. So travelling with children or travelling with pets could be almost like a sub-target group and a representative persona of some of your target market, which might be families, for example, or couples, and it can cross over those target markets. But when you think about the people who work for your door, walk through your door, who are the most representative personalities and demographic combined of those groups? By way of example of where this can benefit you, there's a business that I stumbled over when looking for some examples recently. It's down in northern New South Wales called Annie's B&B. It's only a small business, and I'm not saying that this company does everything right, but what I think they have really nailed as a very small business is their ability to connect with a particular persona for their business. And I'd say they probably only have, a few personas, and that's perfect. If you narrow it down to 3 or 4, that's fantastic. If you need to go bigger, that's okay. That means you've got a more diverse experience and product offering. But you can see here on their Instagram photos how there's a strong focus on food and drinks. They're really into the food. And when I look into Annie's business, I can see she's passionate about providing fantastic food at her B&B and in the local area. I can see she's also got a strong empathy for dogs. So I assume that she's quite dog friendly as well. When you look at this parfait shot here, just to continue showing you the cut through, she's able to really use her own voice as well. So she's connecting with that persona in a personality that she knows works with them. She's got 94 likes on this, probably a lot more on this now, on this particular shot. It's a shot of food because she's appealing to foodies, and she's doing it in a really casual way. She's, as a side point, she's using emojis in her posts, which is a great thing to attract people's attention. And she's using hashtags as well, and plenty of them to attract foodie audiences where she's hashtagging a particular food. And this then goes further when you look at her Facebook posts, and she's really passionate about the next issue of Gourmet Traveller. So once again, you can see that real connection on a personal level to a particular persona that she has. So I think, that's a really great demonstration of that. So personas, how do you develop them? So just by way of an example, fictitious business Best Time River Cruises represents a real business who we did some work with. But they were able to define some broad target markets in terms of certain age women in different age groups, both in the local market, and then also visitors who wanted to go on to like event cruises. But this local market was about using the boat as a party venue. And so what we did is we worked up personas with them of people within certain age groups that really were a great representative personality and all of their characteristics and features, so that they could then tailor their messaging and their product around that. So Daryl and Judy were one of those personas. And what we did is we called out not only their demographics about where they lived, their life stage, their income, what they did for a job, typically, kind of went with that income and that type of person, but also very much about what were important things for them in terms of what they like, what are problems for them. So very busy, it needs a venue that can take care of everything, requires reasonable price, but quality, great service, wants a fun venue that provides the music, atmosphere, etc. We even went down to listing music types that this person would like. And the client said, yep, that's it. That sounds, like a really good representative. So then they could then target their content and know that in terms of channels, that Facebook was the right kind of channel for this one. And also they'd be searching on Google, and that email marketing worked for them as well. You can even build that out further in terms of creating a really full story about them if you like telling stories, which is great too, to kind of really, pull it all together. But honestly, this kind of listing works well too. Give them a name, give the person a name, find an image, and use that as a bit of a blueprint. And when you create content, make sure that it is going to be targeting and appeal to at least one of these personas in your target market. So there's a fantastic tutorial on Tourism Tribe that was written by colleagues of ours, My Travel Research, that steps you through a step-by-step guide on developing personas, and that's called Smart Marketing Spend, and that's the link there, smart-marketing-spend, and that will help you to step through this and see how revealing that is to you. When we run workshops, we do this, we get people to actually work in pairs and do this, and it's really great, the stuff that they turn up. And we had a fantastic one the other day where a woman was able to clearly define the dislikes of some of her customers in terms of they have 5 cottages, one of them is family friendly, and she has couples ring and say, can I book the family cottage so that I can, block families being there? So, she really understands now what her customers need. So let's move into module 2, because once, the segue is that once you have a really good understanding of your customer and their characteristics and what they like and don't like, that is a lead in then, and it's an essential part for developing a channel strategy. And a channel strategy is really about being able to focus your content, share it on channels, have booking partner relationships with the places where your customers are most likely to be. So it's going to identify the best websites, social networks, apps on which to market your business, to move the consumer to purchase, to that booking point with you. Obviously, the simplest approach is the direct channel, and that's highly desired by all businesses to be able, in most cases, to get, particularly in smaller businesses in tourism, to get your business direct and avoid those commission levels. And whilst tourism is a fantastic product in terms of having an opportunity to do that, we do know that there are many in the accommodation sector. There are many big players in terms of online travel agencies, and we need to consider them within our channel strategy as well. So just sort of mapping out at a high level the tourism channel system or digital or distribution system today. It's this looks like a really simple diagram, but as you know, it's a very crowded space. And if we, look at the pathways of consumers through these different types of channels before they actually get to, for that booking to occur with the operator, we know that consumers have a fantastic opportunity today to go through social media through to your business, to go through Google straight through your business. But they also are being intercepted both on social media, but also very much on Google through to online travel agencies, as I mentioned, particularly for accommodation. So they're an important player. They have lots of money to spend on advertising, and you'd certainly know that if you do any accommodation searches in populated areas, that they own, the top half of the screen in Google, and in really busy, more like small cities and large cities, they can take up the first page with those ads, which is why getting targeted with our content and creating and sharing fantastic content is a great strategy to try to get people to come, straight through you through these pathways. You've also got people coming to smaller tier or lower tier, Tier 2 online travel agencies, visit information centres, regional tourism websites, websites, for example, like Fraser Coast Tourism, Queensland.com. They account for around about 30% of internet or website visits in the planning phase. So they play a really important role. These guys here, off the top of my head, the statistic is above that. I think it's under 50%. Research shows us on Google, but they're all big chunks. But that's just setting the scene, isn't it? And knowing that we've got to work with other people, and we need to have some balance in our channel strategy. We want to drive as much business directly as we can, but we need to have some balance and work with the players who've got the dollars to spend on the marketing to attract and engage that consumer. So a balanced strategy will make your business more sustainable rather than having all your eggs in one basket and relying only on direct business. If you can work with partners, then that is good too. So a balanced strategy is going to consider your domestic distribution system and how to work best in that. International, who are the right people for you to be partnering with in international. Clearly direct, and that's what I want to talk about when we move through to the scenario of setting up a channel strategy. It will consider the different distributors and your partners. And by partners, I mean more like organisational partners like Fraser Coast Tourism and Tourism and Events Queensland, local BICs, etc. Also each other. How do you as businesses connect to each other, develop great itineraries that are experience-based, share that information on your own websites and social media channels. So don't forget about that opportunity to work with each other as well. Okay, so types of channels, and this is particularly thinking now if you put your head into, how you can get more direct business. You've got social media. Obviously, we want to be concerned about the social media platforms that our customers prefer and mostly use, because we can't be on every single one of them, not likely, unless you've got umpteen dollars in your budget. Your website is a critical online sales channel for you. It is your online shopfront of all of the social media channels out there, Google, etc. You don't own any of the information on there, but what you do own is everything on your website, and it's a very important piece of your digital strategy. Online advertising, so taking out display or banner ads, search marketing advertising like Google AdWords, social media advertising. So they're also forms of channels. Email marketing still works really well in tourism. Generally, we're seeing kind of 30% plus open rates on tourism email marketing, which is fantastic. So if you're in a business that is likely to get return visitation, then certainly be considering an email database and email newsletter for your part of your marketing strategy. Content marketing, and content marketing is a lot of things. It takes in all of the posts and content that you put on social media, and particularly we like to today, in today's digital age, is spend some time helping tourism operators to learn how to blog. But content marketing, we're going to cover that off in another session, but it is, it's all of those things. It's video, it's great images, it's itineraries, it's blogs, it's social media posts, and then mobile marketing. So there's sort of a mix of content and channels, but when they talk about channels in digital marketing, they tend to list these things. So to choose your channels, you need to be able to answer these questions. I think these are the 4 main questions as well. The only one I would probably add to this would be sort of, but maybe you do this at the end, is, what will your budget and resource allocation to this allow you to do? So first question is, what are your digital marketing strategic objectives? So what are you actually trying to achieve online that is going to help to grow your business? And I'll explain that in a sec. What channels are your target audience using? What channels are your competitors using? That's a fantastic indicator for the types of channels that can work for your product as well, and for you to find gaps in the market, bit of guerrilla marketing to say, well, they're not really doing much of this, so, I'm going to make sure that I really, do well in that space. And then what type of content do you want to produce? And I think this is a really important one, because we can get all bent out of shape because we don't feel like we're fantastic at taking video, or that we don't have great writing skills for blog posts. So thinking about what you favour doing, you might like taking photos on your phone. You may feel you're great at short social media posts. That's fantastic. Well, think about what you can do yourself, what you prefer to do, but then you might need some help with some other things or some skilling up. I just had a question. I'm just going to just field this now before we move on to the channels, and that's from Deborah. Thanks, Deborah. How can we educate consumer to find us on What If Stays, but bypass and contact us directly? That would be great to have a magic wand to do that. I don't think it's your job. This is my answer to this, and happy for others to contribute to the discussion, which we may just then park at the end to do. But I don't think it's your job to educate the consumer to find you on What If and Stays. That's what you're paying the commission to them to do. And they do a pretty good job in terms of what they pay in terms of advertising. Maybe they're not, quite investing as much as they could be in the Fraser Coast region. That could be part of the reason for your question. But that's certainly what you pay them to do, and pay them a commission to win you successful business. The other thought I had, though, is that once they do book through Stays and What If, that's your real opportunity to build a relationship with them and to get them to sign up for your email database, certainly like you on Facebook or follow you on Instagram, to build that relationship with them once they're with you. But what I would prefer to be doing is focusing on how you can educate the consumer to find your business directly in balance with that. Yes, you've listed in stays or what if, you've gone in, you've updated your images, you've got a fantastic description in there. So you're using that real estate that online travel agency is making available to you to the best of your ability. You're offering the right kind of seasonal pricing and packages and things. So you're using that channel as best you can. But then on balance, you're also doing everything you can do to attract the consumer directly to your business. And also bear in mind, there's a consumer behaviour that is pretty well documented, and you see varying numbers on it. But for a domestic holiday, it's between 7 and 13 different websites that a consumer will go to. So they might go and find your business on Stays. And if they're like me, they're going to then go directly over to your website and see what's on offer there and try to book directly with you there. And that's certainly what a lot of consumers do. So they look at lots of different websites. Another one they're going to look at is TripAdvisor, and just see what the online reputation is like. So I hope that that gives you some food for thought, Deborah. Great, thanks. So let's move on to this scenario. So how we like to give you some tips on this is to paint a scenario for you. So using our friends with fictitious name, Best Time River Cruises, in the scenario. So these profiling questions that I mentioned before, I've mapped them out against answers here, and then the channel strategy recommendations. But that's a bit busy to look at as a slide, but of course you're going to get a copy of these, so feel free to use it as a bit of a guide. So what I've done then is split up each of these profiling questions into these next diagrams to make it a little bit easier to digest. So question 1 is, what are your digital marketing strategy objectives? So it might be grow brand awareness for my business. So thinking about that question that Deborah just asked before, and my answer to that was, on balance was, okay, do everything you can on the OTA channels to make your business really stand out there, but do everything you can to get your customer to actually find your website directly, content directly that is sitting on your website through Google, or find your social media channel. So, this is a way of describing that, is to grow brand awareness for my business, or grow a larger, direct business into my website, for example. So here's one, increase website conversions, similar kind of thing. Grow my email database. So generally the recommendation at a strategic level here is to increase direct channel focus to achieve these objectives. Question 2, who's your target audience? What channels are they using? So in this scenario, for this particular target audience, so not lumping them all together, we've got women aged 30 to 55. I've pretended these are visitors to your region. It happens to say Mackay here, but it could be Hervey Bay. Then locals as well, so that's that other target market, organising their own and family parties. So what channels are they going to use? So they're going to use Google, TripAdvisor, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, given they're females and looking at parties. So because this is about organising parties, there's going to be a lot of kind of things about design and theming and how great does it look. And email marketing. So the recommendations here are search engine optimization and a good Google presence. That's really important at the dream, plan and book stages to convert. Target market relevant and visual content to attract and engage will work well on Facebook, and particularly Instagram and Pinterest. Question 2 is, what channels are your competitors using? So doing the analysis online and doing some searches and seeing what they're doing, we can see that other cruise boats or party boats are using Google AdWords, and some of them have got tours that they're running that are are listed on TripAdvisor through Viator, and some are doing email marketing. So the recommendations here is that the competitors are mainly focused on conversion, and they're leaving opportunity for you in that dream, that attract phase, to build brand awareness. So you'll need a competitive position on Google and TripAdvisor as well, because you want to build that brand awareness on those two platforms. So you want to have really good listings. Good ranking on Google and strong online reputation are really important, given that you want to compete in TripAdvisor as well. So there's, I know that sounds like a lot, but then we can then break it down when we get down to the digital actions into singular actions. But a content plan will be a really good sort of planning piece that will support the social media activity, and also email marketing activity. So if we develop a content plan, we're saying what content do we need to produce, what content can we curate or share, and then be able to distribute that out through social media and email marketing. Question 4 is, what content do you like to produce? So in this case, the operator likes to produce photos and written content. So that's great. They like taking photos and writing because they'll be able to do a lot of their own images and blog posts for email distribution and for sharing on social media. But video is a really important medium for engagement. There cannot be a business today that isn't including video in their content strategy. So they might want to consider outsourcing some production to get a nice little suite of short, professionally shot videos and including them in their content plan. And then maybe building some skills, because it's not hard with your smartphones today to be able to take a great little movie and edit it on your phone and share it. So what do we end up then with? A channel strategy under these 4 headings of attract, engage, convert, delight. We break it down. We've got Google as a very important channel for in the attract and engage stage, and what we want to do is get page 1 organic ranking. Might have to pay for some AdWords as well, because we've got our competitors doing that. Claim their Google My Business listing. That's really important. That's the sort of key to Google knowing who your business is and where it's located on the map. And it also allows you, once you've done that, to manage your Google reviews as well. And review their own website, make sure the search engine optimization is well implemented, and do regular blogging. Also Facebook under attract and engage, regular posting, ad campaigns to grow awareness and increase followers. And the other thing that would be good there is if I know this is for organising parties, but a business like this would also use ad campaigns for particular events in a business or different campaigns they're running. Instagram and Pinterest, regular posting, relevant to those platforms. So remembering that Instagram is all about fantastic images. Pinterest is about fantastic images for this target market, the venue, the party planner target market. Under engage, we want to grow the email database. So our email database is coming from people who have already had some level of engagement with us. They may have liked something you've shared in a blog post, or you've written a blog post and they've found it on Google, or they've found your Facebook or Instagram accounts and they've come across to your website, signed up for an email database, that kind of thing. Convert, this is where TripAdvisor, update your listing, implement a management policy so that you are responding to all TripAdvisor reviews. Website, make sure there's party planning tool on there. What could you be putting on your websites that would help with conversion? Is it some suggested itineraries? Is it tips for how to have certain experiences that are on offer in the region? What are your recommendations for best places to eat? How do you actually make that conversion smoother for people? And make sure that online booking is in place. And delight, this is where we want to invite them. Have part of your management policy around the review platforms is to also invite them to place reviews and feedback onto the platforms that they like to use. And Google and Facebook reviews are growing at a very fast rate. So don't just invite them to review you on TripAdvisor, invite them to review you on Google and Facebook, and make sure that you're responding to all of those reviews. So I hope that kind of gave you a bit of a structure and a bit of a process that you can follow for developing a much closer understanding of your target markets, and the way in which you can develop a channel strategy and choose the channels that they use. And now the important takeouts out of this session is, don't try to get the attention of everyone. Define your target markets and your customer personas. This allows you to focus your efforts on particular experiences, content, and channel. Tourism Tribe Smart Marketing Spend. That's your place to go following this webinar for a step-by-step guide to developing personas. And if there's somebody else in your business you can sit down and do this with, or your partner at home, whatever, sit down and nut it out with somebody else. It's quite a creative process. And when prioritising digital channels, ensure your choices support your digital marketing strategic objectives. Develop a balanced portfolio of distribution channels, because that will build sustainability in your business. And choose channels to focus on that are mostly preferred by your target customers, and focus your efforts around the content you enjoy creating. And consider what channels your competitors are using. A bit of homework is to create a table and list your target markets and create personas for each of your target markets. And don't be surprised if sometimes you get a persona that is in two target markets. That's fine too. This is about really understanding at a characteristic and behavioural level who are the 3 or 4 types of people who you're dealing with. Ask yourself the 4 questions and map the answers and your recommendations for your business, as in the scenario for Best River Cruises. That's in terms of developing your channel strategy. And if you haven't done your Tourism Tribe membership, then certainly do that, so that you can access all of these great things, including the tutorial that I mentioned to you. And also you can ask questions. Some of you might already be doing that in the forum. I hope you are. And that's your coupon code to be able to do that. Select the starter membership at the tourismtribe.com/join page, or just at the bottom of the home page if you haven't joined yet. And TTWKSP is the discount code that you use, and then it will cost you nothing because it is included in your training through Fraser Coast Tourism. So we've had an anonymous question here for after the webinar, but I will just read it out for the benefit of everybody. What is your suggestion as to frequency of email newsletters, monthly, fortnightly, weekly? Is there an ideal number that is most likely to be more engaging? Straight off the bat, for tourism businesses, I say monthly. I think it's a bit of overkill. So it's completely different for, say, Tourism Tribe, the platform that we run, where we're trying to educate. It's about education. It's a business to business. So we send out an email newsletter on a weekly basis because we want to make sure you're getting bite-sized pieces of information and not being inundated. And we're geared towards creating that content. That's mostly what we produce. Whereas for you, content as a form of your marketing, it's an ask. It's quite a big ask to put together a good newsletter. So monthly is more than adequate, in my opinion. Some businesses even stretch it out further to like every 2 months or 3 months. The key to this is having a content plan and collecting ideas and saying, well, my theme for this month is around winter holidays on the Fraser Coast. What are the things what's the content I can produce that will encourage people to come and stay here in winter? What is going on in the area? How can they holiday here in winter? What's the great experiences? What some blog posts I can write, what some social media. And if you do it around a theme on a monthly basis, then creating that email newsletter becomes pretty easy, because you can actually repurpose those things you've done into 3 or 4 short articles, put a special in there that relates to the upcoming season, and make sure that the email newsletter is shareable so that people can share it with others. So I hope that helps. It all depends on, obviously, some businesses like airlines, etc., are going to do it much more frequently. But I do think monthly would be would be more than enough, or maybe you might want to go a little less frequently. Great. All right. How are we going? Are there any more questions? Let me tell you, we've got another one, thank you, from Deborah. Fraser Island can't attract drive-by market. People plan well in advance, so brochures in tourist offices don't work, so that cuts out a lot of target. Brochures in tourist offices don't work. No, so as in visitor information centre. Yeah, that's right. So, visitor information centres at the moment then may not be, that the channel that you're relying on greatly because people are already in destination. But increasingly, visitor information centres are getting into that dream and plan phase and seeing that they need to be playing in that space as well. And I'm sorry, I don't know if a visitor information centre staff member is sitting in on this webinar. I hope they are, and that they are empowered to, sort of discuss this issue with local operators and say, well, how can we be more proactive in that dream and plan phase to do that, to be able to help with that. So work with partners that are certainly in that dream and plan phase, and work your own business there as well to be able to make sure that you're in the consideration set when people are thinking about an island experience, a unique island experience in Australia and on the East Coast. Larry, although our property is more unique than others, we are located on Fraser Island and we get a percentage of cancellations due to guests not realising the need of a four-wheel drive to get across the island. We mentioned this on third-party site in alluding our website, however, we still get cancellations. God, that's a challenge, isn't it? Larry, you raise a good point that even though we go to all this effort to put content on our website to answer people's questions and onto third-party websites to make sure that they are prepared, people don't read everything. They absolutely don't read everything. After they book with you, and I know it's a bit difficult if it's coming through a third-party site, but maybe there's a conversation you can have with read the confirmation email that goes to people. So typically, after you book online, you get a confirmation email, right? So is that being included in that information right up the top? And maybe that's when the cancellation is occurring, and I apologise, that's probably what you mean. So that's disappointing for you. You go to the trouble of confirming the booking. So we've got to think about some strategies. I think you can manage it a bit more on your own website, like maybe important, like some kind of really importantly placed in your navigation to say what you need to holiday with us. And is there a way of still getting that customer by offering them a service, there's a business on the island, or they can hire a four-wheel drive, or what are the answers to that? So you don't turn them off initially, you're still inviting them to come and stay, and they can, find another way to do that. So happy to brainstorm that a little bit more with you. Maybe that could be a great question to get some ideas in Tourism Tribe to put into the question and answer. Okay, we do send out confirmation emails, which includes this, but still get cancellations. Agree that people do not read all the info. So look at where that info is placed on your website. Look at something that really catches their eye about, how do I get around the island? How do I get there? Something that they are going to read. Like I would have thought how to get to the island's pretty important, so you want to include it front and centre in there. Like I said, please feel free to put your website address up into the forum question on Tourism Tribe and just ask for ideas about that. You'll be amazed. You'll get back some really good ideas on it. All right. Let's see, webinar 3. So this is next week, 30th of March, and you get part 2 from Fabian. So this is going to cover off managing your online reputation to drive sales. So it's about getting more bookings, this is about being proactive, not just dealing with the feedback. Understand the value of content marketing. So what is content marketing? Why is it important to your business? And then what is blogging? How to create a good blog? How to make sure if you're, it's funny, a couple of years ago, we would never have been recommending to small businesses that they create blogs, but now it's actually a pretty basic function in digital marketing and very important to drive search engine attraction. And just thinking about Larry's question before, it's a bit of a creative way of getting around this, but how can you write about how to really get around Fraser Island and, leading people back to your business? If you're seen as the authority on doing this online because you're creating, a few good blog posts that really talk about enjoying the island and the role of four-wheel drives, safety issues around four-wheel drives, how to get a four-wheel drive, all of those sorts of things, then that might be another way of sort of capturing people at the same time of reinforcing that message around four-wheel drives. And as I said, Fabi's going to be presenting that. So it'll be great to have some of you on board for that next piece as well. So I think we might have another question. I'll just double check. Great. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for that. I'll have a look at your website, Larry. But are you a member of Tourism Tribe yet? If you are, that'd be great. It'd be great if you can go to the forums and ask the question. That would be fantastic. All right. Wonderful. I think that is it. I think I really need to let you guys go and get back to what you are doing. I was just going to close it out there, which I have. Sorry. Fumble fingers on my part. But thanks very much for listening, and I hope that you found that helpful on your journey to digital excellence. I'm sure you're all going to be getting 5 stars, gold stars by the end of this program. So thanks, and have a great day, the rest of it. All right, thank you.